CIA didn't find the Ark of the Covenant. They discovered something much worse. Recent CIA documents discovered on the internet and ran by our friends over at the Ninjas and Butterflies podcast, as well as the Daily Mail, have uncovered something pretty crazy. Now, the CIA is no stranger to controversy, with operations like MK Ultra, where they brainwashed hippies and tried to test and use mind control. The JFK files have also rehashed a scrutiny in terms of how they're viewed within the different branches of government, specifically JFK himself saying he wished he could have smashed the organization into 1,000 pieces. Now, I will say that I appreciate them releasing information on their own website, and that's exactly where this information that we're going to cover today was discovered. And within recent years, I'll be honest in that there's not many things that will surprise me, but the CIA having documents that they themselves released about the Ark of the Covenant, well, that surprised me. It's not just that the CIA found out where the Ark of the Covenant is, it's the way they found out the location of the Ark of the Covenant. And the way they discovered it, to me, is the darkest part. We're going to look in the scriptures on what the Ark of the Covenant is and why it's so impactful, the different theories about where it is today and how it's been personified in pop culture. And at the very end of this video, we're going to reveal one hidden nugget that I haven't seen anyone else cover directly from the CIA.gov files. But before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan. This channel exists to encourage, empower, and inspire you to live a life that blesses God. Sometimes that looks like exploring archaeology, tying it into scripture. Other times it looks like checking out stuff that the CIA is revealing and some of the darker secrets that seem to be influencing our reality. So if you're new here, or if you're not new here, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. A huge percentage of the people that watch this channel, unfortunately, are not subscribed. All right, let's jump into this topic. So the Ark of the Covenant contains the 10 Commandments, the tablets that Moses got, a jar of manna, and Aaron's rod. Ultimately, the Ark played a central role in the children of Israel entering the Promised Land, with the waters of the Jordan parting before it. Exodus 25 describes the delicate nature in which it was constructed, a chest made with acacia wood, overlaid with gold. It had very specific dimensions for its rings, its poles, and the cherubim placed on top. And ultimately, the Ark of the Covenant contained the presence of God. But this wasn't just a glorified box with the 10 Commandments and other things inside of it. It came with power and very specific rules that, if broken, could result in death. The Old Testament depicts that it could only be carried by Levites who used poles to transfer it. No one could touch it directly. And if they did, death was the consequence of disobedience. And when the Bath Shemeth people looked inside, the Hebrew manuscripts say that 50,070 people were struck dead. And the power of the Ark of the Covenant is best illustrated in the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark. But only 7 years after the release of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the CIA seems to have taken some inspiration. And that leads us to the CIA released file on CIA.gov. Project Sunstreak. Okay, so here's the official file. You guys can all go look at it. As you scroll down, there's two specific definitions that pop out that we have to address about this file. The first one is this box you see here that says psychoenergetics, defined as the process by which an individual may physically interact with objects, locations, organisms, or events. And then it explains that it's in two different parts seemingly. Psychokinesis, which is physical actions performed by mental powers, or telepathy, remote viewing, perceptions which cannot be explained by known sensory means. If we scroll down here, we see that this is defined as the acquisition and description by mental means of information blocked from ordinary perception by distance, shielding, or time. Now, what's interesting is this isn't the first time that the CIA has done this. We covered this in a video a while back where the CIA did something called Project Gateway, basically discovering that there is a spiritual realm. They used these same techniques in Project Gateway to spy on the Soviet Union during the Cold War, to basically use psychics to attain certain information that they wouldn't have been able to get any other way. Now, I think this was the inspiration around the hit TV show Stranger Things, which revolves around them doing similar experiences, specifically a company called Hawkins National Laboratory, who conducted secret supernatural and paranormal experiments on humans, which inadvertently leads to the creation of a portal to an alternate dimension. the upside down. Now, Project Sunstreak is like Stranger Things and Raiders of the Lost Ark mixed together. So let's check out this official document. This is, again, on CIA.gov, of them using similar techniques to get a description on the Ark of the Covenant. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to reveal an Easter egg. So make sure you watch till the end, but let me know if you catch it in the meantime. Now, it's important to note they're having this remote viewer, this person with these psychic abilities, look at a specific location that they assign to them, but they don't know what they're looking at. You can see clearly here, training target 0209 is the Ark of the Covenant. This part right here is just a little evaluation on the remote viewer, but what the remote viewer and the findings that they get is pretty crazy. Okay, so here's what the remote viewer told them. Target is a container. This container has another container inside of it. This target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. The target is similar in shape to AOL, which I'm not quite sure what that means there, a coffin, and is decorated with seraphim. See page 16. This target is located somewhere in the Middle East, as the language spoken by individuals present seemed to be Arabic. Visuals of surrounding buildings indicated the presence of mosque domes. See page 12. Individuals in the area were clothed in virtually all white, had black hair and dark eyes. One figure I homed in on wore a mustache. The target is hidden underground. Dark and wet were all aspects of the location of the target. The purpose of the target is to bring people together. It has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, the resurrection. There is an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we know. Target is protected by entities, see page 14, and can only be opened now by those who are authorized to do so. This container cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Once it is time to open the container, the mechanics of the lock system will be found to be fairly simple. Individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed by the container's protector through the use of a power unknown. Now, we're going to come back and explore that Easter egg later in the video, but let's look at some of the theories that may coincide with this account and some others that may not. Okay, so this is Graham Hancock, a fairly controversial archaeologist, so this is not an endorsement, but he is on Joe Rogan's episode 2215, and they get into him going to Ethiopia and encountering some of the people that are supposed to be guarding the Ark of the Covenant and the issues that they're dealing with. Check this out.
And several of them have run away when they get that election, because once you're elected as the guardian of the Ark, when the previous one has died, you're going to be kept in that chapel forever. You'll never be allowed to leave it. So they're close to whatever this object is. They're close to it. And I met 3 of them over a succession of years, because their mortality is once they're appointed, they die very soon. And they all had these cataracts over their eyes, and they all blamed the object in that chapel, whether or not it's the Ark, for causing their blindness.
Wow. Jeez. And so 3 different people you talked to have cataracts from that.
Yeah, and they all blame the Ark. And one of them, it's a resonant phrase, which sticks in my memory. I asked him why, and he said the Ark is a thing of fire.
That's horrifying. Now, this theory of it being in Ethiopia, oddly enough, corresponds with some of the descriptions written in the CIA documents, specifically that it is in the Middle East, it's seemingly a more Arabic-looking country, and that it has power, and a bunch of people are using it as an object of worship to some extent. Now, for one of the more outlandish theories. Amateur archaeologist Ron Wyatt claimed to have found the Ark of the Covenant in a cave system beneath the hill of Golgotha in Jerusalem, the traditional site of Jesus' crucifixion. He said he discovered it in 1982, oddly enough, right after the Indiana Jones movie came out. Sounds like he might be a bit of a fanboy. He claims that he found the original Ark of the Covenant hidden in a cave chamber below the site where Jesus was crucified. Directly above the chamber was a crack in the rock where Jesus' blood supposedly ran down the cross, through the crack, and onto the Ark's mercy seat, fulfilling atonement typology in a dramatic, literal way. He also claimed to have tested the dry blood on the mercy seat and found it to be unique, only 24 chromosomes, suggesting divine paternity. Ron's theory has been widely dismissed by every single mainstream archaeologist that has dealt with this topic. And the best kicker of this is that Ron said that God told him to store away all the photo and evidence attached to this story until God appoints a supernatural time in history to reveal it. Pretty convenient, wouldn't you say? Now, the other prevalent theory is that the Ark of the Covenant is underneath the Temple Mount, the most controversial holy site in the world. The Temple Mount is where Jews and Christians believe the temple used to be. Today, it houses two different mosques. Jews are not allowed to pray on the Temple Mount. That is why you often see Jews praying on the western wall, which is as close as they can get to praying in the area. Now check out this video from CBN News that seems to highlight the theory that the Ark of the Covenant might be underneath the Temple Mount.
Moscow believes a key clue lies behind this giant rock and says high-tech search tools give credence to his theory.
2 years ago, there were tests done by the University of Nebraska, sonar tests, etc., using electromagnetic waves, and they actually found what's called a storage space across from here. So actually, there was a purpose for putting this giant stone, this massive slab here. One of the reasons, in my opinion, is to protect whatever it is on the other side. And according to my theory, the Ark actually was buried by King Josiah, I think it was 568 BC. In back of these boulders, these massive stones.
Now, regardless on where the Ark of the Covenant is, I think the scariest part about this entire process is that the CIA is using psychics and mediums to tap in to figuring out where this thing is. And that is directly condemned in Scripture. In Deuteronomy chapter 18, God is speaking to the children of Israel and is giving them very specific boundaries to avoid dealing with anything related to pagan false gods. In verse 10, it's specifically talking about child sacrifice, but then it goes from child sacrifice straight into practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, or casts spells, or who is a medium or spiritist, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. Because of these same detestable practices, the Lord your God will drive out those nations before you. And the CIA is using these practices that Scripture is condemning to find one of the most powerful archaeological objects in existence. And I, for one, am very concerned for whoever the person is that discovers this thing. Now, remember, I promised you guys an Easter egg on this page that no one is talking about. Did you catch it? The CIA put specific coordinates right here on where this psychic person was to look. Check that out. That's pretty crazy. So what that means is they probably had an idea of the location for the Ark of the Covenant and were attempting to just get intel on what it looked like. So is this proof that the CIA already knew exactly where the Ark of the Covenant is? Well, I'll leave that up for you guys to decide. Now, I don't know if Sunstreak is legit, but I do know that when I looked up the gateway process, they did not have 100% accuracy rate. It was actually a rather low accuracy rate. So maybe it's legit, maybe it's not, but there does seem to be some way that they're able to use this telekinesis to extract some form of information. So I'd say that the technique is spotty at best. And I do find all these conversations super interesting. But I do think it's important for us to make sure that our worldview is anchored in something more stable than just CIA memos and leaks. My heart will be for all of us to anchor our thoughts, our mind, and our worldview in Scripture. And one of the things that helped me do that is to read through the entire narrative of the Bible, which is exactly the theme of a devotional I put together recently called the Occupy Till I Come. It's a 60-day journey through the entire narrative of Scripture with a daily reading and custom journal prompts, as well as a separate area for notes and additional reading. So you follow this journal, you get through the entire Scripture with daily devotionals in 60 days. And it's on sale now at blessgod.shop. So if you want to pick that up, you can click here. Or if you want to learn more about the CIA's gateway process and how they didn't just discover a spiritual realm, they discovered something much worse, we'll have that over here. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.